Hi, good afternoon and welcome to today's Q&A session with our IELTS mentor Ameya. And today on the panel, we also have a bunch of our LeapScholar students. So we're going to be introducing all of them. So today's session is basically for
have a
Ameya.
bunch of us LeapScholar students.
Ameya, you'll have to mute your YouTube. I'm so sorry.
Yes.
So this session primarily is to take questions from our students right here and anyone who wants to know about the IELTS exam here on YouTube, and our IELTS mentor Ameya, who has been who has had a really great score on his IELTS exam, will tell us how to prepare about it and any tips and tricks that he has regarding the exam and how to go about it. So we'll start with Ameya. Ameya, please go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us more about your journey here with LeapScholar.
Hi. So I joined LeapScholar on the 2nd of March, I think, and I appeared for my first IELTS exam on 2nd April. So basically, I had tried preparing by myself a month earlier during the month of February, but I needed a bit of structure and understanding. Also, a few tips and tricks on how to crack an IELTS since I hadn't appeared for one before.
Right.
So joining that batch, which was a 2-week crash course, I think, it helped me a lot. It gave me a better insight into what I was to expect from my IELTS test. Having not appeared for an exam in over 6 years, it was slightly nerve-wracking, but ultimately, I think LeapScholar helped me prepare for my IELTS test quite well.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you for your insight. We also have on the panel a bunch of our students. So we have Anjali, Anish, Palash, Rakshit, and Saksham. So we're going to have them introduce themselves one by one. So Anjali, please go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us how you found out about LeapScholar and your association with LeapScholar so far.
Thank you, Shivang, for giving me this opportunity to speak. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Hope you all have been good. My name is Anjali Kumar, and I hail from Delhi. I'm currently pursuing BSc Mathematics Honors from St. Stephen's College, Delhi University. So I come across LeapScholar on my Instagram. My sister also told me about LeapScholar, and then I joined LeapScholar last month, and since then they are giving me new opportunities to do something new which I haven't done before. It's like this live YouTube session. This is my first time, and thank you. I want to thank LeapScholar beforehand for giving me such a great opportunity to speak with such learned and knowledgeable person like Ameya.
Thank
So
you,
thank
Anjali.
you.
We're glad to be having you on board with us here today because it's what we believe that every student here with us should get an opportunity to be able to express themselves and learn and strive to do better. And that's basically why we have these sessions also. Also, hi Manpreet, Sagar, and Raman here who joined us here on YouTube. I hope you guys are well, and we're going to be taking questions from you all very soon. Before that, we'd like to get Anish forward to introduce himself and talk a bit about his association here with LeapScholar.
Hi everyone, I'm Anish Jacob. I'm basically from Kerala but settled in Jaipur. I came across LeapScholar 2 months back, I think so, and I joined classes on June 3rd. And till now, it has been a fabulous experience, and the teachers have been really good. They have been teaching us really well, and the major agenda for me was to start to brush up my basics about English, and that has been really well from the weekend classes from grammar that is usually taken in LeapScholar. So yeah.
That's great. That's great, Anish. Thank you for that. We'll take Palash next. Palash, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Shivan. Yeah, I'm Palasha, and right now I am living in Ahmedabad, and I have just finished my bachelor's exam from St. Xavier's College, Ahmedabad. One day I was just sliding through people's stories on Instagram, and I got to know about Leap Scholar on an Instagram story. Then I asked one of my friend who was also going to an IELTS class, and he also referred me the same thing that due to the pandemic and all, don't take the risk and just join any online class you can come across. And from the day I joined Leap Scholar, I am having really great experience with you all.
Well, that's great. Thank you. Thank you for that, Palash. We'll
Thank you,
take
Shiva.
Rakshit next. Rakshit, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Shivank. Good afternoon, everyone, guys. First of all, thanks, LeapScholar and all other friends here gathered here. I am basically a resident of Bangalore. I am an MBBS graduate. I have finished my MBBS from Bangalore Medical College. So I was initially preparing for the Indian entrance exams, but since there were a lot of postponements and there was a lot of uncertainty regarding what things would happen further, my friends and my parents suggested that I should try preparing for the entrance exams to UK or US. And the first step to do that is getting your IELTS exam. And as I was just going through for the various online sources for preparing, I came across LeapScholar, and I was quite surprised at the prices which they were offering the courses, and I just spent some time going through reading some more about what all they were offering, and I really felt it was a great opportunity to improve and learn. I was frankly a little bit worried how exactly the classes would be conducted and what would happen, but overall I've had a wonderful experience. It's been almost a month since I have joined, and I only have the best of words for all my teachers and everyone else who has guided me along this journey.
That's great. Thank you, Rakshit. And we did not know you're a doctor, so great. Congratulations on that. Saksham, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Shivang sir, for giving this opportunity. My name is Sakshan, and I am currently an undergraduate student pursuing my Bachelor of Science in Nagpur. And I'm actually looking for something online classes in English because I want to improve my IELTS score because
Right.
because I am actually appearing for the examination next year. So I'm preparing from this. And actually I came across through LeapScholar by Instagram post. And then finally I downloaded it from Google Play Store, and it's very affordable course. And I enrolled myself in that course of 149 rupees. And actually, it's a 4-week course, and I'm actually enjoying it. It's actually improving my English skills. So yeah, that's all about it.
That's great. And I'm glad we could help you out. All right. So we'll just begin with the questions that we have, that our panelists have. But first off, let's say hi to Navjot Sandhu. Thank you for joining us here. And Raman has a question for you, Ameya, which is, did you take the CBT or the PBT? Did you take the computer-based test or the paper-based test?
I took the computer-based test.
Right. And what was your preference of that over
So I would say, having the knowledge I have now, that I made the right decision.
Right.
Computer-based tests are the way to go.
How's that?
So there are a lot of advantages, especially in the writing and the reading section, because you can lose marks if you have misspelled a few words.
Right.
When you are in the reading section, you can actually copy and paste the answers right there and then itself. And in the writing section, so the platform actually provides you with prompts of how many words you have actually written. So that saves you time of counting the words you have come across. It also helps you in editing later on. If you think your essay is too bloated, you can edit it, you can make it concise, because using the same phrases repeatedly or elaborating on a certain point to a large degree can also make you lose marks. So IELTS prefers your essays to be concise and to the point. You can also basically keep a tab on how far you have progressed in your essay, and you can structure the remaining essay accordingly as well. So past a certain point, I know, like, it's time for my conclusion now. I've achieved the number of word limit that is required for the actual essay. and I should be saving the last 20 to 25 words for say the conclusion.
Right. Thank you for that. That's a trick that I'm sure a lot of our students here and people who join us here can, use. Okay. So we're going to take a bunch of questions from our panelists here. So anyone who has a question, please raise your hand. So Palash has already raised his hand. So has Anish, and then Saksham, then Anjali. So we'll go in this order. Palash, can you please go ahead and ask a question?
Yeah, Shivan, thanks. Hello, Ameya, and I would like to know about your experience on the day of your speaking test because mostly the people who are preparing for IELTS are worried about their speaking test the most. So, can you share your experience? How was it?
So the speaking test, Palash, is the easiest to prepare. So if you want to practice, there are various different things that you can do. You need to find your own groove on how you practice. For me, what worked was I used to play mock speech sessions on YouTube. And after every question that the interviewer asked, I used to pause it and I used to answer in my own words. Then I used to play it again and compare what the person who's getting interviewed has said. I used to also record all these question and answers that I was mentioning to get a basic understanding of where I was going wrong, where I tend to ramble, and I try to curtail that. So speaking is a section where you can practice the most because it takes quite less a time. So every day, if you practice for say half an hour to 45 minutes, speaking especially, I think you can nail it.
Okay, Ameya, thanks.
I hope that answers your question, Saksham. We'll take Anish's question next. Please go ahead.
Hi, Amya. You clearly mentioned that copy paste actually works. Okay, so there has been a lot of speculation saying copy paste doesn't work in the main exam. So, does it work? Even I have this doubt.
So Anish, what kind of score are you hoping to get?
Minimum 8.
Minimum 8. I got an 8 by copy pasting. So there goes your answer. It worked for me, so it will work for you, I think.
Okay. And my second question is, now when you started preparing, you obviously knew where you stand. Okay, so how much time do you suggest a student to take up the exam? If you see yourself at let's say a 6, so how much time do you think a person should take to get to 8?
So I think it varies from student to student. One should introspect on where they actually stand, what their capability is. For me, it took me 15 days of actual preparation. So I attended 15 days with LeapScholar. At that time, I was just attending LeapScholar. I wasn't preparing at all. Post that, I started with my practice sessions, which I did through a website called IELTSonlinetest.com. So I used to go there. I used to attempt listening and writing every day. So they provided me with a basic understanding of what band I can expect when I answer in a certain way. For writing section, I think you can't really prepare for that because you need to get your essays evaluated. Since LeapScholar offers, I think so, 3 evaluations of essays.
That's right.
I did utilize those, but ultimately, those are the only 3 evaluations that you are probably going to get before your IELTS test. What you can do is you can go through various different YouTube videos on how you should write your essays, what constitutes as a 8-band essay, what constitutes as a 9-band essay. You can try and understand what complex sentences are, what linking words are. So if you use a good mix of all these, you can score well in that section as well. So that is the section I was most worried about writing because it's very difficult to score, and people who actually have a good hold of English, they also struggle to score in that section. And I myself, I could have gotten a better score, but I know where I went wrong. I made a mistake, and I actually know where I went wrong as well. And I regretted it the moment I stepped out of the hall. But when you reach the writing section, the thing is, you have already gone through the listening section and you have already gone through the reading section. So a certain amount of fatigue also steps in. So you're not able to function properly. You're not able to actually think to the best of your capabilities. And once you get a free movement, you actually realize, okay, I've gone wrong there. So that is probably the answer to your question.
Right. I hope
Thank
that
you, Ameya.
suffices. Okay, so we have a bunch of people here on YouTube. Let's say hi to them. Hi Raman Baba. Hi Sam. Hi Ajit Aluwalia. Hi Manpreet Kaur. Sam has a question for us, which is how do you look for keywords in your reading section? Reading section, I'm guessing. Please go ahead and tell us that.
So for me, I didn't really spend time looking for keywords. I had started preparing on my reading section almost mid-January. So I had built up my reading speed to such a degree where I didn't need to get hacks to deal with the reading section. I felt that my process was such that if I read out the entire essay, I'll probably get the gist of it. And then when I read the questions, I can refer to those particular sections of the essay that contain the answers. And then those answers I can just copy and paste.
And that makes sense. Thank you for that. Okay, so we have Saksham who has a question.
Yes, so my question for you is, Ameya sir, is in reading module, as it is very time consuming, so it's a very basic question that do we need to first read the question first, or do we need to like read each paragraph first? Like, I have a doubt on this.
So it totally depends on your reading speed, Saksham. If your reading speed is very fast, I would suggest you go through the essay first and then you read the questions, because then you will actually get an idea of what the questions are about and where you can find those answers. If your reading speed is really slow, then I would suggest read the questions first and then start looking for answers using the keywords.
All right. I hope that answers it. Anjali also has a question here with us. Please go ahead and ask.
Thank you, Shivang. So my question is that how to begin the preparation for IELTS?
I would say the easiest, yeah. So I would say the easiest things you can do is probably start listening to podcasts. So the podcast will help you get a grasp of English language. You also need to keep in mind that in the listening section, it's not just any one accent that is used. There are many different accents. So it can be Australian, it can be British accent, it can be American accent. So all these accents also differ. So you need to familiarize yourself with these accents as well. And basically podcasts will help you do that. Reading also you can do. You can pick up your favorite novels, right? From something as basic as a Harry Potter. You can pick up Harry Potter, start reading them. Go through all the 7 books. Try to build up your reading speed. Try to grasp the new words. Try to include them in your vocabulary. Writing is not something that you usually do. We don't usually write long essays in our daily lives. So that would be a part of your active preparation, which you can probably start doing once your LeapScholar sessions are over, because your teachers will be able to guide you best on how to go about writing your essay. The worst thing that you can do is probably start out on a wrong note, start preparing wrong, because then the habit sets in. And even when the guidance is given, you naturally tend to go back to your old ways. So
Also,
try to prepare in the right way rather than prepare for a longer time.
yeah. Also, I've heard many people saying that is easy to score? Do we really take it casually, or we should be doing this for
No,
daily
you
basis?
shouldn't. You shouldn't take it casually. It's not easy to score at IELTS. I know many people who are well versed in the English language who struggle to score high in especially writing. So, especially in writing, you tend to make a lot of mistakes. And people say that the listening section is very easy, but I would say it's not really easy as such. It's easy to score at, but if you want a good score and if you want to boost up your overall band, try to score a 8.5 or 9 in listening, which you can only do with practice. You'll be able to score 7 and 7.5 if you do it casually. But that shouldn't be your aim, because even for a golden score that is 8,777, you need an 8 in listening.
Thank you, Ameya. It was
Yeah.
really informative.
All right. Does Rakshit have a question?
Yeah. So
Go ahead, please.
Ameya, my question would be, since we are in this current situation of a pandemic, how did you get accustomed to the exam setting? Because I'm not sure if you were able to visit the exam center or if you know where the exam would occur. And I think it goes a long way in mentally preparing us for how the exam might go, how the exam day might be.
Yes, it was very nerve-wracking to say the least, because towards the end of March, my exam was actually scheduled for 2nd April. Towards the end of March, the second wave was well on its way. Cases were building up day after day, and we here in Maharashtra didn't know exactly when the lockdown was going to be declared. So I kept a tab on whether there is going to be a lockdown or whether there is going to be a cancellation of tests. But I kept preparing in the background as well. So what you need to do is just put your head down and focus. You can't let the pandemic affect you, and you can't use it as an excuse as well, because like different people have different financial statuses, but for me, especially paying 14K for each IELTS attempt, it wasn't feasible. I needed to get a good score on my first go itself. I didn't want this to be a practice session. So yeah, you just need to focus. You need to put your head down. It's a pandemic situation, so of course you'll probably be working from home or staying at home. Utilize the time and put in 3 to 4 hours of practice at least. So twice a day you can attempt listening and reading practice tests. Once a day at least you should be writing an essay.
Okay, thank you for that. Another question I would like to ask, would you mind sharing what was the most effective practice method for you in any section?
Sure. So the practice method for me, most effective one was by doing the practice tests on IELTS onlinetest.com, because they have a certain time limit. Of course, over there as well, they give you time limit for a paper-based test. So you have to keep that in mind, that you don't actually have 40 minutes to answer your listening section questions. You need to also keep in mind that you don't, if you're attempting a CBT, you don't get extra 10 minutes to transfer your answers from a paper to the screen. You have to answer after each and every question. So there is plenty of time left after each question. So the questions actually go chronologically. So each question comes at a certain step of the clip. So once that portion is done, you actually have time till the next, till the part which refers to the answer of your next question comes in. So those are known as fillers. So you'll have a lot of time to type your answer in, build up your typing speed, because that will help you in the listening section as well as the writing section. fill out your answers, read the question below as well, so that you know that, okay, things are moving towards the next question now. So better pay attention and build up your attention span as well, because for those 30 minutes, you need to be paying attention. If you get one thing wrong, that's one less bad, especially if you're appearing for general training. So the lower score you get, the lower your band will be. So for academic people, it will be slightly different. The marking system is slightly different from general training. So if you're appearing for a general training examination, you need to make sure that you make as few errors as possible.
All right. Great. I hope that answers your question, Saksham.
Yes.
Saksham and Anjali and Nanesh have a question. So we'll take them in order. Saksham, please go ahead and ask a question.
Yes, sir. So in speaking module, I find it very difficult to generate ideas, especially in part 2. So what if the topic comes which is very unfamiliar to us? So how to generate ideas in the speaking module of part 2? It is very difficult sometimes.
So the way I worked at it was, okay, the first thing that comes to my mind. If I have a cue card which says, talk about a famous person that has inspired you. This was the actual cue card that came to me. So my first response is to go back to a celebrity that inspires me the most. So I think about not something that might impress the other person, because the content in your answer doesn't matter. Your language matters. Okay, so speak what's close. Like if you're a sports person, you can probably talk about Sachin Tendulkar. Everyone knows about Sachin Tendulkar. Sachin Tendulkar facts are very well known. So it's easy to jot down your points, and even if you haven't jotted down your points, it's easy to talk about that person on a fly.
I hope that answers your question, Saksham.
Yes, yes.
All right, great. Anjali goes next. Anjali, please ask your question.
Okay. So can you suggest some simple topics, some basic topics that students should prepare beforehand for speaking and writing part?
Sure. So the thing is, I think LeapScholar provides you with a file of the main questions that may be asked in cue cards. So that's topic 2 of speaking. So you just need to go through that, and you need to practice speaking them out loud, because there's a more than likely chance that those are the topics that will be presented to you in the speaking test as well.
Also, could you please share some tips and tricks to give an impressive interview introduction to examiners?
For the speaking test, you mean? For the speaking test, you don't really need to introduce yourself. Don't tire yourself out on the introduction. Don't think too much in your head, because you're not supposed to introduce yourself. The examiner will do all the speaking. She will ask you the questions. All you need to do is answer the questions properly. Take your time, be clear, have clarity, be audible, because you won't be judged on what you speak at that point of time. You will be judged on the basis of your recordings. So they will be recording your voice, and if your voice is audible, it's clear, half your battle is won. Have the confidence, speak clearly. Even if you make mistakes, go back and correct them. You get points for that as well. See, they don't exactly expect you not to make any mistakes. But if you make mistakes and just move on, that will end up costing you marks. Go back and correct them. Wouldn't be a problem.
Okay. Do we require any sort of certain prior knowledge of computer skills to sit for computer-based tests?
No. There's absolutely no knowledge of computers required. If you can operate this Zoom call, you can, of course, give a computer-based test.
Thank you, Ameya.
You can also, I would suggest, go to the British Council website or the IDP website. There's a actual mock test over there. You can try attempting that. But I would suggest go over there 2-3 days before your exam. So just to familiarize yourself with the UI and what kind of timing you're supposed to basically achieve. So it will give you an exact idea of the kind of time you're going to get, an exact idea of what kind of questions you can expect, and it will also basically familiarize you with the user interface of British Council and IDP.
That makes sense. Okay, Anish has another question. Please go ahead and ask a question.
Yeah, I think so. What I asked will be a question for all of the students, major students, I will say. What do you do for vocab? Vocab is something you cannot just improve, let's say, in a day or in a week before the exam. So, what do you actually do to improve your vocab? Or something, or some website did you suggest? What did you suggest?
No, so reading words will not exactly help you with incorporating them in your vocabulary. You might come across complicated words, but adding them into your vocabulary, them coming to you naturally, it's going to be always be an issue. So try and listen to podcasts, or there's a more fun way as well. So for me, basically, I used to watch The Big Bang Theory. So Sheldon uses a lot of complicated words, and the context matters. So usually, if you understand those words in that context, it basically gets incorporated into your vocabulary as well, and you start imitating a person that you find yourself fond to. So you can do that. You can watch Sherlock starring Benedict Cumberbatch. He also uses a lot of complicated words, a lot of complex words. So you can do that as well. Try to find uncommon words which will add to your lexical resource. So lexical resource is a thing that you get marks on. So if you go and try to find out on what basis you are getting your marks, so grammar, your lexical resource, your coherence and cohesion, these are some of the things that you are given marks upon. So try and keep exposing yourself to the English language more and more. If you're consuming content, try not to watch any Hindi web series or any Hindi TV series. Try and watch English web series.
Actually, that's quite right. Watching a lot of English movies, a lot of English series do help you quite a lot, learn new words and just get more familiar with the language itself. In fact, that's something that I did also, which was to like read a lot of books, listen to a lot of music, podcasts, and then watch a lot of movies. Like I spent a substantial amount of my own time watching a lot of movies, and it does help. It does help. Like after a while, you just get on to using those words in your own real life. So I mean, that goes on to just help you in the long run for sure.
So you can't really predict a situation where you might be using a certain word.
Precisely.
So if you understand what that word means, then you can actually incorporate it in your vocabulary. So the context matters the most. And if the context is inappropriate, you'll get negative marking on that as well.
And that's fair. Okay, Palash, do you have a question?
Actually, I would like to know that if there is any particular English accent or that kind of movies that would you promote to watch, British accent or American accent.
You
Obviously,
need to have a good mix. Like I just told you, Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
Now, Leonard is from New Jersey, so that is slightly New York accent, whereas Sheldon is from Texas, down south, but his accent is clear. So you need to expose yourself to different kind of accents. I told you Sherlock is British accent. So that way you can expose yourself to different kind of accents. You can watch maybe TV series from Australia, or you can watch a couple of movies as well. You can follow movies of Chris Hemsworth or Hugh Jackman. They are from Australia, so they have a typical Australian accent. Russell Crowe is from Australia, so they have a typical kind of accent. Then maybe watch a movie by Taika Waititi. He's from New Zealand, so that's a different accent. So try and follow these various different accents, or rather people that you are familiar with, and try to observe their accents and try to understand them.
Yeah, because I have seen some series that have typical strong British accent that was used in past, like Peaky Blinders and
Yes,
also
please don't
strong.
follow Peaky Blinders. Please don't
Yeah,
follow Peaky Blinders.
strong. They have very strong Irish accent. So
Yes, so
yeah,
Peaky Blinders uses a lot of incorrect English. So you
yeah,
need to, yeah, you need to curtail yourself from, exposing yourself to the wrong kind of English.
yeah. That's why
If
I
you're
asked.
looking for
Yeah,
a suggestion, please watch The Crown. That will help you
Yes, please.
yeah,
uh,
Crown,
yeah,
Down
help you
Abbey.
with get more familiar with
Yes,
the British accent. In fact, if you're looking for suggestions for Taika Waititi
yes,
movies, watch What We Do in the Shadows and The Hunt for the Wilder People. Those are absolutely fantastic movies, and they will get you acclimated to the.
exactly. And UK, if you want to familiarize yourself with Downtown Abbey, Bridgerton, you can go with, I think so. What did you mention, Shivang,
Sorry,
earlier? The
The
TV series?
Crown.
Crown,
The Crown.
The
Crown.
Crown, yes, The Crown as well. So you can watch all these series. They are easily available.
Yeah, actually, I'm planning to go for United Kingdoms only, so it would be beneficial for me in both the cases. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
Thank you, Aman.
Right. Nakshit, do you have a question?
Yeah, sure. I'd like to know, Ameya, what were the various resources from LeapScholar that helped you a lot during your preparation?
So basically, for me, guidance was the most important part, because LeapScholar tries and prepares you for more of an academic training exam. I was giving general training, so I didn't necessarily have help with my writing section task one, because writing section task one for general training is letter writing, whereas it's essays for both in academic training. So guidance was the most important thing. Plus, uh, basically attending lectures every day, it gave me an insight on what kind of questions I could expect in the listening and the reading section, especially, and helped me with the preparation for my speaking section as well. So you pick up tips and tricks just by being in the LeapScholar classes as well, and you try and observe what the other student in your batches are doing, the way they are preparing. Maybe you can pick up a thing or two from there as well.
That's great. Do you have a follow-up, Rakshit?
Yeah, thanks, Ameya. Just this was more of a personal question. Would you like to let us know how preparing IELTS has changed your approach to things? Has it changed your approach to language, or has it improved anything in
Yes,
your life?
very much so. It has definitely. So I find myself observing my language quite a lot. I will write out a sentence even on a WhatsApp message, and then I'll notice an error and I'll go back and I'll actually correct it. Whereas before I would have probably, this is not a very formal setting. I'm just going to type what comes to my mind. And at times I've also sent across a message in a hurry, and then I've observed that okay, I went wrong over here. I find myself evaluating myself and giving scores to myself as well. So you can probably do that before your exam as well, I think.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else would like to ask?
Right. Anjali would like to ask a question. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Shiva. So I have a question. Do we need to separately book the speaking slot while
I'm
registering?
sorry, Anjali, you're not
Anjali, you're
audible.
not audible.
Okay.
You'll have to hold your mic closer. Basically.
So while registering for IELTS test, do we need to separately book the speaking slot?
Uh, if you're doing it with the British Council, I think nowadays they are just offering you speaking tests on the same day as your uh, LRW. I think with IDP you can choose. At least you could choose back in April. I'm not very sure right now post the unlock pieces that are happening, but the IDP is allowing that. But I think all of your tests will be on one day. Mine certainly was.
Also, will headphones be provided for listening test?
Yes, they provide excellent headphones. You don't need to carry any headphones at all. So they'll provide you excellent headphones with good quality sound. I think they were offering Sennheiser headphones at our center. And the facilities are beautifully kept, so you don't need to worry about carrying anything except for your passport, a copy of your passport, and maybe some stationery. That's it.
Right.
Okay. Also, I have a question. Does accent matter for IELTS test? Will it
No,
impact?
no, it doesn't. You just keep a clear accent. Even speaking in an Indian accent with a good flow, that will be great. You just need to be fluent and you need to have a good flow. Try to have clarity in your thought so that whatever you think of, you can actually put it into good words. And try to incorporate a complex word here or there. You know, these are certain hacks that will help you score higher.
Also, in the reading part, there are three passages which are of different level: hard, medium, easy. So, which one should we attempt first?
So I actually I gave a general training exam. So ours was uh, basically all the essays were of the same difficulty level. But I think you should go chronologically because in the reading section, once you start off with the easiest one, you can build up steam because by the time you reach you're done with the last essay, you'll be so tired out because it's the most difficult one that it will be difficult for you to score well in the earlier essays. So let the difficult one leave the difficult one for last. Try to score as much as you can in the first two essays and try to attempt the third essay as well as you can.
All right.
Okay. Also, I have one more question. Except the resources that LeapScholar provided, did you prefer any books for preparing?
Yes, I did buy the Cambridge IELTS. It didn't help me much. I also bought two practice tests, 12 and 13, I think, and they didn't even come out of their covers. So they were lying unused. I basically just used online practice tests to prepare for my exam.
All
So
right.
Thank
there
you.
is such a thing as over preparation as well. So you expose yourself to too much, you make too many mistakes, and then you lose out your confidence. So if you have enough time, just do one listening section in the morning, one listening section at night. Uh, Towards the end, if you have time, when you book your slot. So if your slot is for say 3 p.m. Start preparing at 3 p.m. every day. So give practice tests at 3 p.m. every day. Your body gets used to it. So your body and mind, they get in a zone where, okay, now it's 3 o'clock, it's exam time. So that way, your body will get comfortable each and every day that, okay, it's 3 o'clock, I'm going to start with my practice. And with the IELTS examination, it will help you with your nerves basically.
Thank you so much, Amna. It was a great advice from your
All
side.
right.
Thank
We have a couple questions on YouTube. We'll take those and one more from the panel. So, since you had a tremendous score on your speaking section, what would be the tips, do's and don'ts that you would recommend to someone who's taking the IELTS for the first time?
Okay, there are certain hacks that you can get from YouTube. So there's a video called 25 words you can use to get a 9 band on your IELTS writing task. So you can go through that video. So I myself used 3 of those words in proper context, and I managed to score a 7.5, which I think was decent.
Right.
I scored a 7.5 because I know I made a mistake in the writing section. So when I was heading for the conclusion, I started my sentence with on one hand, and then I moved on to on the other hand. So in this context, you're supposed to use conflicting points. There used to be 2 conflicting points, but at that point of time, I was like, okay, I've used this now. Let me complete my point, and then I'll go back and I'll edit it out. But once my point was made and my conclusion was done, I didn't really have time to go back and edit it out. So my time ended, and the phrase that I had used in a wrong context, it remained that way. So I knew it was going to end up costing me, and I was really scared that I'm going to get a 6 or a 6.5 band. But apparently the rest of my essay and my letter was good enough that I got a 7.5. Otherwise, I definitely know for sure that I could have gotten an 8 or an 8.5.
Right. Another question that we have is regarding the reading section. So, what would be a go-to guide for someone to improve their reading?
I'm sorry, you weren't audible for a minute.
I'm so sorry. So, a couple questions here are dealing with the reading section, which is primarily the question. Primarily is that please guide our users here or our viewers here on YouTube on how to improve their reading section. What should they do?
Sure. So what you can do is you can attempt practice tests as much as you can. For me, where I was going wrong in the reading sections was that I was adding articles to my answers. So I was making those mistakes. So you need to read your questions properly. You need to understand what the answer is expected to be. You can refer to the passage. Just take out that particular word. You'll basically develop an instinct about doing this once you attempt a few practice tests on your own. So I gave about 25 to 30 practice tests. So that kind of helped me get a better understanding of what the actual answer is supposed to be.
Right. We'll take one last question from the panel. And that's because we've already shot the time that we had allotted for this session. So we're going to have to wrap up soon. So we'll take Saksham's question the last. I'm so sorry, panelists and our viewers here on YouTube. This is primarily because the shortage of time that we have here. Otherwise, we would have taken and accommodated more questions for sure. So Saksham, please go ahead and ask your question.
So Ameya sir, what according to you is the most easiest module in the IELTS, and what is the hardest? So what do we need to practice the most? So I want to ask you.
So there are no easy or hard modules. It just depends on your level of preparation. So if you've given a high amount of preparation for all the modules, I think you'll be able to score the best in listening. But that's if you're prepared. I think scoring is really tough when it comes to writing, and writing is the thing that we tend to neglect the most. So I think we should write at least a couple of essays every day. Especially for academic training people, you need to ramp up your writing speed because it will give you a better understanding of what you're expected to write on the final day. I think listening would be fairly easier if you practice hard enough. Reading can tire you out. So of course you have to take that into account as well. So reading would be slightly tougher. I would say writing will be the toughest. And I would say speaking for me wouldn't be as hard because I would compare it closely to listening itself. Although you can make a lot of mistakes while speaking, but the evaluators are most lenient when it comes to speaking, because they don't expect you to be experts since it's your second language, it's not your first. So they don't expect you to be experts, but you need to be clear, you need to be audible, you need to have confidence, and you need to know where you're making mistakes and maybe go back and correct them.
Okay, sir.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for your answer. And thank you for your time here, Ameya. Really glad that you joined us here for today's session. And thank you, Anish, Anjali, Palash, Lakshit, and Saksham for joining us today for this live session. I'm sure we were able to answer some of the questions that you had today, and you to your satisfaction that too. And thank you again for joining us today. And thank you to all our viewers who joined us here on our YouTube live session. Um, if you're here and watching us right now, please do like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that we can keep bringing you new content, so that we can help you improve your IELTS score and get you to the goal as soon as you can. Thank you for joining us today, and with this we wrap it up. Thank you.
Thank you, Shivang.